this incident, Oscar and Reeva, I think when I heard this story, I think, yeah, how do you shoot your girlfriend in the washroom? How do you not know that? Very, very strange. And I remember thinking, yeah, there's something fishy about it. And so I never thought much about it until, I started looking into a whole bunch of these other crime and stuff, and realized people are very suspicious. I mean, these people who supposedly are professional and trying to solve a crime, and I'm thinking that they should know what the heck they're talking about. They shouldn't make these horrible mistakes. Injustice. But so I looked at this case again, since it's in the headline. It caught my attention. This is not whodunit, but a case of how could this happen? How could this guy make this horrible mistake? So you got to look at what is the possibility that this guy made this mistake. Now imagine this. If someone told you that 2 giant jumbo jet crash on the runway, it sounds pretty impossible, right? I mean, they have so much technology, equipment to avoid all this. There's people watching, seeing where all the planes are, and even there's another airplane crash where is a mid-air crash, and it's like there's hundreds of people on the plane. These are commercial airplane, and they crash, and they have all these systems in place, and their pilots are trained, their satellite detection, there's all these things that can protect us from making these horrible mistakes, and yet they still happen. How can it be? Right? So you ask yourself, can this incident happen with him mistaking his girlfriend in the washroom and shooting her? It sounds really unbelievable. But just like air investigation, once they uncover how it happened, why it happened, then you can see that it's all about timing, it's all about events, it's all about what action a certain person takes. We're all human, we make mistakes, and that's what you need to understand, that in a situation that is unknown, unfamiliar to us, we're going to make mistakes. Just like when you're driving or when you're doing anything that you don't do regularly, like you don't do often, right? You're going to make a mistake. Just like in a fight, you don't know what's going to happen, but when you replay it, if there was a video or something that replays it back, you'll be like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. Or when there's a car crash, I wish I would have left at 5 minutes before. This wouldn't have happened. I wish I would have done this or done that. And so for a person who's not in that situation can analyze it and rip it apart and say, hey, you're an idiot. Why didn't you think of this before you did this? And so it's easy for anyone, any of us, to simply just say, this guy was reckless, he's an idiot, and he should have know that his girlfriend could have been in the washroom. And so there's a lot of question we have to ask. How could this happen? Let's assume that this is not something planned, right? He didn't plan this because there was no time. Let's assume that we know 100% that he didn't plan this. It just happened in the moment. So just like the prosecutor saying that, there was a fight and he got angry and he shot her. Right? So they agree that he didn't plan this because they have months and months of analyzing all the data, all the evidence and stuff. So this is the best they could come up with, right? So, but obviously, it's a story that they need to present to make a case, and that's what I think it is. I see a lot of flaw in their perspective. But I don't think I should go into that too much because I could run through a different scenario. I mean, their theory is reasonable, but not really. I mean, it's based on the unknown. It could happen, but there's not much evidence to support it. Like, no one's gonna get mad in who's arguing at 3 in the morning. Like, they must be arguing all night, right? They can't just somehow wake up in 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the middle of the night and start arguing. It's just, we don't do that. People is kind of unreasonable. And even if it is, it needs to build up. And if it starts from, let's say, 10 o'clock, wouldn't Reeva call somebody or text somebody, like her girlfriend, he's being an asshole or something? There's no text from any of them. There's no indication of any argument or anything. And so it's very hard to believe that. It's very hard to believe that there's some kind of fight. So I'm going to take Oscar's story, and I'm going to see if it's possible for his story to hold up. Like, could it be reasonable what he did? Let us run through his perspective, right? So he wakes up at around 2 or 3 and he couldn't sleep, and his girlfriend turns over and says, "Oh, you can't sleep?" And he says no, he can't. And so he wakes up, and obviously she's not wide awake, she's barely awake, and so nothing unusual there. He wakes up, he goes out to the balcony, he's taking the fan in, right? And then he hears a noise, a window opening. Now this is where the problem is. This is where people need to realize how is he thinking, right? Imagine if you were in your house and you went to the kitchen to get a drink in the middle of the night, and then you don't have anybody else in the house except maybe your wife or your girlfriend, and you didn't see her get out of bed, you didn't notice anything, but out of the blue you hear a window opening. Okay? Just imagine that. In the middle of the night, you hear a window opening, sliding across all the way. What would you assume? Now, if your wife or your girlfriend went to the washroom, she would go to the washroom. She wouldn't go to open a sliding door, a window. Do you understand? Do you see his point of view? Do you see his perspective that if who would open a window in the middle of the night? Right? We watch movies, we watch things, we hear things, we know things in life that normally in the middle of the night a burglar or someone trying to get in through a window. That's how we grow up knowing certain things like this, or it's in our head, it's in our mind that this is something that could happen, that if a burglar was going to come into your house, it's going to be through a window, right? So when he heard that window sliding in the middle of the night, and he didn't see his girlfriend going to the washroom or anyone because she didn't turn on the light or anything, because that's not a... This is the other thing. This is why this event happened, because there's a lot of unusual thing that happened. Like the Reeva is not a girlfriend that sleeps that stays with him, that lives with him. She's actually just sleeping over that day. I don't know how many days she sleeps over, but it sounds to me like she's not there all the time. She's not there a lot. This is something she does not too often. So he is usually by himself, right? He's not sleeping with another girl, I don't think. And so that plays a lot in his regular routine, right? He's not... This is why accidents happen. It's because we're not used to certain things. When something changes, when something's not normal, like everyday things we do, we make mistake. That's why mistakes happen. So she didn't turn on the light. She opened the window, and obviously that combination of incident that triggered this whole thing. And not only that, remember, I don't know about you or most men out there, but a man reacts different than a woman. A woman might come over and wake up the husband, but a man, we tend to take charge, you would say, in this situation, or society tells us we are the man, we need to protect our loved ones. We are responsible, right? Because we are the men. And not only that, another thing about Oscar is he has been through this. He has been through difficulty in his life, that he is independent with his crippling, with his leg, that he doesn't rely on other people. He does everything for himself, right? That could play in a role in his decision to not check on his girlfriend. And of course, this is an unknown. You don't go, okay, I need to do this, this, and this. When something is not something you do regularly, you will make mistake. You will not know everything you should be doing to make a good judgment, because it's unknown. That's why space and anything that occur that happens at that moment, that it's not like if there was a fire in your house, what are you going to do? Sure, you would maybe have a plan. Sure, you would maybe have a plan for a burglar, right? But when something unusual happens, you react to it. However quickly or however you react, it's never going to be the perfect sequence that happens. it's never gonna be perfect, right? It's never gonna be planned perfectly. So when someone looks back at it and say, oh, you should have done this or you should have done that. So when that happened, just like if you were in the kitchen and you hear a noise, like a sliding door, especially a window, sliding, and you know no one should be up at this time, right? You would instinctively, just grab a knife. It's just one of those things, like, who the heck would open the window in the middle of the night? That's why I think this happened, is because Reeva is normally not there. He is independent, and so he took action with his instinct. He went with his instinct. When you do something quick, you're not gonna double. You're not. Everything around you is blurred. Like, everything around you is not in focus. You are focusing on what is the danger. Okay, this window just opened, and this guy could be just around the corner. It's not far, and you need to react quickly. So he reacts quickly. He goes down. He knows where it's going. He takes it. He brings it, and he's walking quick. And of course, he's gonna miss his girlfriend. He's not gonna be. He's not gonna think too much into checking where his girlfriend is. So that's why I think there's so many combinations that he could have missed. And especially it's dark. It's not like all the lights on, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning. And how awake are you at 3 o'clock in the morning? Right? Your instincts not gonna. Your judgment could be very not sharp, you would say. And then when he reached to the window, it's confirmed. The window is open, right? And his mind is almost made up. It's almost his fear came true, that the window is open. The fact that there was a ladder left, like he knows there's construction, there's a ladder outside. So that also played into his mind that, okay, here's all the reasoning that I have, and it all fits. So it must be true. It must make sense. And at that moment, remember, these things happen quickly. You have no time to think. You only have time to react. And that's what he did. He saw that, and the first word out of his mouth is, Reeva, call the police. Someone's in the house. He doesn't say someone's in the washroom. He just says someone's in the house. And that's his other mistake. It's because when you are afraid, and when you say things, it could be interpreted 100 different ways, right? So, and not only that, think about this. Your Reeva, she's staying overnight, and it's not her normal routine. She doesn't know. So when he's yelling, Reeva, someone's in the house, she's getting freaked out. She's in an environment she doesn't truly know exactly. And then as well as the door being shut, she doesn't know which direction he's yelling at. She doesn't know if Oscar is yelling at her or just around the house, right? So she's freaking out. She's kind of like, she's a little nervous, right? She's unsure of what kind of situation they have out there, because the door is closed. So, and then she knows that the door is not locked. So at that moment, she's like, okay, if she did have a cell phone in the washroom, because normally, sometimes we do. All people use their cell phone all the time. They bring it everywhere they go. They wake up, they want to check this. That's not something normal. But if she didn't bring it, let's just say she didn't bring it. Either way, it doesn't matter. The fact that Oscar's yelling that someone's in the room, get down, right? She's freaking out. She's gonna go and try and lock the door because she's afraid. She's not a man. She's not gonna come out and start saying, "Hey, what's going?" She's afraid, just like, what you would expect her to do. And so, what does she do? She try and lock the door so that hopefully Oscar can handle this situation. And so when she did that, and Oscar's hiding at the side, he decides this guy is about to come out. He shoots, right? And then when he shot, no reply, no screaming, no nothing. So what do you assume if you shot someone through a door and they don't make any noise? Right? They don't make any noise. You would just assume that you miss, right? Because you miss. You shot and you miss. And what do we do when we shoot? We try to shoot something and we miss. Right? Just imagine you're playing a game and you shot somebody and you miss. You know that they're going to turn around and start shooting you. Right? So Oscar, with his instinct, just ran closer because he shot from far away from the corner. And so he decided he missed. He has to go closer. He goes closer and shoots 3 more times. And he's yelling at Reeva to call the police, and she's not answering. Right? He already shot 3 times, and he figured he must have hit him. He must have hit whoever's in there. But he doesn't realize the first shot Reeva in the head. Right? Who would think shooting through a closed door would hit somebody right in the head, kill them pretty much instantly? It's pretty hard to think that he would be that good, right? So he would be thinking, no, it's impossible for me to hit him and they didn't scream. But that's what happened. That's why it happened. And so, as you can see, he ran and he did all that stuff to knock down the door, and from there you can see what happened. You just need to know how this thing can happen and how reasonable it is, right? Here's the thing. Now, when Reeva tried to lock the door, and his instinct was this guy was going to come out. This is one of the things. Just imagine if you were driving along and out of the blue someone's a kid running across the street, or a ball or something comes out of nowhere. What do? You don't even think. You react. You slam on the brake, even though you know that you just brought brand new tires, you have brand new brakes, but if something like that just comes out of nowhere, you would just slam on your brake. Did you want it to? No, it was just a ball. But in that instinct, in that moment, your reaction automatically almost just kicks in. Now, Oscar was in that moment, and even worse is that the fear. He had a fear. The fear was already in him. You don't have a fear when something flies out. You're driving along, you're happy. But once that ball comes out, or once a kid flies out, you slam on the brake because your instinct kicks in. So I can see how Oscar would have just pulled the trigger, especially when he's used to pulling, like he's used to guns. He's not afraid to use a gun. He's been you can see from all the evidence that he likes to collect guns and stuff, but doesn't mean he likes to kill people. He likes to use guns, but he's not a killer. He's not a all these things that people would want to believe because of this incident. Now here's another case that is going to go like any case. When a celebrity, someone who's people admire, look up to, when this happened, they're gonna say they're gonna try and find something to make this guy look the worst, like he's the scum of the earth, right? And you need to realize that that's human nature. That's, for some reason, people do that. And you can see that he's going to be called a woman beater. He likes to kill things. He's really aggressive. All these things will begin to paint the worst picture this person can be, and I don't think it will stop. I don't think people will gonna see him as someone who accomplished so much in his life and came from a lot of struggle, and people will just, this is the thing too, nobody is perfect. Nobody can have everyone like them. So if people are starting to search for other people to talk about this Oscar, they will find someone who's going to say a lot of mean things about him, because not everyone will like you. No matter how good, how great you are, you will have people who will just say horrible things about you. And why? Because why not? They're going to be on TV. They have nothing to lose. Oscar has everything to lose. But the people who say these things about this person, what do they have to lose? Nothing. That's why their words should not be accepted, should not be something to convince you of this person, that Oscar is this kind of person. Because they have nothing to lose. This is the problem with society. When you can say whatever the hell you want, and no one can really question, no one can really be sure of what you say is true or not, it's become very easy, because nobody is perfect in this world, and there's always someone to hate you, no matter how good you do things in life. So for people out there who is listening to all these bad things about this person, you will find a way to make him guilty in your mind. But if you can be reasonable and look at the evidence and look at all the situation leading up to this horrible accident, you can see how reasonable this accident happened. Alright, so I think, I don't know why these people cannot analyze these things and see for themselves how reasonable it is for him to make this mistake? Or maybe the society just don't care, just don't really care about finding the truth and be reasonable. They just want, either they just want to make people suffer, or they just, or maybe people just like to make things more than it is because it's more exciting. It's boring when it's not that exciting, when the story is not that interesting. Or let's just say the police finds out this case and they say, oh yep, everything, we understand, we can see how this could have happened, case closed, right? And then still people will say, hey, he's a celebrity, you're just hiding everything, you're not even checking it out, right? So there's a lot of pressure in all these things, and I guess there's no way for them to stop this cycle of unreasonable expectation from society. They want this, they need this. This is something has to play out at Oscar's expense. He's losing everything. Everything he accomplished because he made a mistake. A mistake that can happen. It's not impossible. You gotta remember that. Anything is possible. But when you look at all the evidence, and when you look at all the situation, all the timing, you can see that he is telling the truth. This is the truth. This is how it happened. He's not a woman beater. He's not a murderer. He's not a killer. This is a good person that made a horrible mistake. And now they're trying to say he killed her. He murdered her. And that because he knew that if he shoots someone through a door, he's gonna realize that he's gonna kill them. So you can argue that, and I wish the best for Oscar. He seems like a good guy who made a horrible mistake. Hopefully he doesn't handle guns anymore. If I was in his situation, no matter, I don't know how much he loves to play with guns, but if something like this happened, hopefully he doesn't want to deal with them. He's not crazy about guns anymore, and I hope people realize that he didn't mean to kill this beautiful girl, and it was just a horrible accident. And I'm sure he's replaying that whole scenario over and over in his head. He is just human. He makes mistake, and whatever the court says is reasonable, then it's reasonable, I guess. But just know that he's not a killer. He didn't plan to kill her. That's it. As long as people know that, then I think it's justice. I think it's justice that people understand the truth.